Nate G219 here to help back and better. Y'all know what it is. Another one coming at you. First, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that channel if you want to help out. Today is July 16th, about 5:15 in the morning. You know, I'm trying to get an early one at y'all. Trying to keep a video a day at minimum coming at y'all. So, thinking back on my time in prison, this story is coming to you from IYC. IYC Plainfield, it's referred to as, it's at one point in time was Indiana Youth Camp, long ago. But it is now full-fledged level 2, level 3. It's got level 2 and 3 there. But it's designed to be a level 2 facility. Now, however, in this facility, you do have people serving life because it's also a medical facility. So there was this guy, Terry Sturgis. I told a story about him, which I'm going to end up retelling because I just feel I'm a lot better at telling stories now. But Terry Sturgis had beaten his child to where he was unalived, his own kid. And Terry's mom also went to prison on behalf of the same exact case. But that's just one of the many people I had met in this prison. When I got there, this prison is a work camp. Now, I had never had a prison job in the 3 years I had done in Michigan City, Indiana State Prison. Never, I'm not proud of that because I was supposed to get a job but ended up in the hole. Supposed to end up with a time cut, ended up losing time. I was supposed to do a lot of things that I did not do. I just didn't listen to the rules the first time around. The second time around, I was listening to the rules for the most part. Not like I was doing anything extra. I just was staying out the way. You know, when I hit the Department of Corrections that time, it was like beginning of September, mid-September, and my out date was March. But with a little paperwork I had filed, I was 99.98% certain it was going to be bumped to like January 15th. I was wrong. It ended up being January 18th because I had to file a whole bunch of extra paperwork to get these 2 other days of jail time credited. Doesn't matter. But while I was in this prison, I met a lot of different people. Some people I had actually done time with in Michigan City, but they had leveled down and ended up at IYC. Some of them, like me, had found themselves back into the penitentiary. And however, this time I got a job, you know. They came around and what job do you want? What job you want? When they call you to the counselor after you first arrive, you go to this little A&O, the arrival and classification dorm. That's where you go first. That's where you go before they decide to put you in open dorms or one of the cell houses. And in the open dorms, you got a few of them, and I went to G dorm. I want to say EFGH was in that building because A, B, C, and D was A&O. Then E, F, G, and H was the dorm next door, which G dorm was the idle disciplinary dorm. Everybody in the camp said that's the last dorm you want to go to. I already knew that's where I was headed to because I hadn't even been home from prison for very long and I had left a maximum security penitentiary. So my points, although weren't high, they weren't exactly low. They were high level 2 points. So they put me in the idle disciplinary dorm. But still, I had a job. And that job was being in the kitchen. But as soon as I was putting sandwiches, I mean, it was like an assembly line. Taking sandwiches, putting them in bags, making sack lunches. That was my first week or 2. And then I got to talking to a couple of the Airmark. Airmark sucks, by the way. For those don't know, Airmark handles the penitentiaries, a lot of the schools, not just in the state of Indiana, but across this country. And Aramark has a whole bunch of different things you can choose from, and the prisons choose the bottom of the line, the bare minimum. Things that just if you saw them, you would be in disbelief that these are fed to humans, especially when they say for institutional use only, or not meant for human consumption. I've legitimately read things that said not meant for human consumption in the freezer for the kitchen, being put on the trays. It's being fed. I mean, it's being mixed in with everything. They said it was chicken. I don't know. It's scooped. It was pink, but it was gross. It was gunk. It was like paste almost. And anyways, while I was working in the kitchen, and that I was getting the lowest grade pay, C pay, but I knew some things about kitchens. I knew some things about cooking, and it was beneficial because it was called the Serve Safe certification, my food handler's permit, things like that. And I had went to the head of the kitchen staff for Aramark. Her name was Jody. Now, if Jody liked you, that was a good thing. But if she disliked you, man, you'd be out of that kitchen, or you'd just be hating your life wanting out of that kitchen. But Jody, she was a big girl. She liked attention, and she did not like any disrespect whatsoever. So if you were just kind, gave that nice smile, you were usually pretty good. Now, when I approached her, Miss Jody, I just want to let you know that I have my Serve Safe certificate, yada, yada, yada. I got this, I got that. And I feel that I'd be much more beneficial if you put me back there on the cooking line or in the bakery even. And she said, well, you know, I just fired somebody from the bakery, so I got an opening in the bakery. So the next shift, I'm in the bakery. So that takes me from C pay, which I want to say is like 12 cents an hour, or it was 12 cents an hour or something back then, to A pay. A pay is the highest pay in the prison rate. I was getting, get this, 25 cents an hour. Yeah, I was working 60 hours a week, 6 10-hour shifts, and during the holidays, you were working longer. You would have to prepare the special meals, but you know, there was a lot more to it than that 25 cents an hour, because when you got put in the bakery, there was only 4 people worked in the bakery, 4 of us. There was a cage that locked us, and people would come up to that cage, hey, can you slide me? First of all, it's a steel cage. Second of all, you know what shift I can do it on and what shift I can't do it on. And you see Miss Jody standing right there, so obviously I can't do that right now. And if you don't like it and you start squawking, you're not going to get anything from me ever, because I'm back there. You need me, I don't need you. I already got my own hustle going on. You can add to my hustle, but I don't need you if I don't want you. So you're not going to tell me I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But anyways, in this crew of 4 was myself, C-Note, Old School Murphy, cool old school black dude, and this dude Ryan Bean. It was 2 white and 2 black. Now C-Note and Old School Murph, they were the black gentlemen. Now Murphy, man, that man has some stories. He was this old man in this wheelchair, and I mean, he could walk, but he'd be getting wheeled around and getting wheeled around. He had kidney dialysis, and he was in his 60s. So, man, they just really let him do whatever he wanted. He would mix some things up. Youngin', you doing this wrong. But really, I was put in charge of making cookies. And I'm not talking about 200 or 300 cookies at a time. I'm talking 5,000 cookies in a day. Sometimes more than that. you got these big carts that are 6.5 foot tall, and if I remember correctly, yeah, one whole one fit in an oven, if not two. I think two of them fit in an oven. That's how big these ovens were. It was about 6.5 foot tall, and each cart was probably 2 foot by 3 foot, you know, rectangle cart where you slide the trays on. People have seen them in restaurants, same style cart. Except, you know, you put the trays on it, slide it into the oven, it clicks onto this thing, and the oven spins. You can literally put somebody in this oven and turn that oven on and they're locked in. That's that. There is an emergency thing I think that you could release, but by the time, I don't even, yeah. You could very easily, actually you could throw a whole pile of people in there if you were on some crazy things and took the whole prison over or something. God only knows what you could pull off in there. Time out. Time it. So, Ryan Bean. Man, why did I have to have this partner? This little sicko. He was a convicted kitty fiddler. And people were always picking on him and stuff. Now, I'm not the type of person that can sit there and not speak. If I'm sitting next to somebody for 10 hours a day, man, I don't want to talk to you, but I'm not going to attack you. I've got less than 4 months left. Like, I'm not going to the hole. I'm not jeopardizing my time to whoop you, especially if these dudes that have been here with you for years aren't beating on you. Well, I'd find out pretty quickly he was paying basically not to be beat up, and he'd still show up at work with black eyes at least once a week, twice a week. He'd been beat up, busted nose, busted lip. Well, although he has always maintained his innocence, I don't believe he's innocent at all. But it is weird looking at his convictions, because he was in 2010 convicted of kitty fiddling, and then in 2015 for incest. Now, he did tell me he was accused of touching his daughter, and he had been released from prison. He had been resentenced, and he gave Indiana back a lot of time. So I can't say for sure. I'm not putting, I don't know what this guy did. I'm not going to read through all the paperwork because it's so much and it's so disgusting, but something tells me that there isn't 100% truth to it either. But I'm not defending this guy, because he came home from prison on probation, not allowed to be back on the internet, and not allowed to do a lot of things, and he got caught on the internet, well, with a phone that was online. He'd been talking to a girl that was, I want to say she was 16 is what the report said. She wasn't a child. He was working with her at Burger King or McDonald's, but, you know, first of all, shame on you, Burger King or McDonald's or whoever hired this clown. He was a registered SO. He had that red dot labeled on him. Everywhere he went, that dot went. You should have done better. You never hire somebody like that if you've got children around. If you've got a majority of your place of business is kids, little young girls, you don't bring a predator in for any reason. I don't care what they. It's a sick thing. I got another story of one that happened back in the 90s, and a predator had worked around all these kids, but he ended up snatching an even younger child up on the way home, taking her innocence and life. But I'm not getting into that. That's a different one. this is about Ryan Bean. So I was just reading some of Ryan Bean's paperwork, and I gotta say, it's questionable. Now, I don't know if he did anything to his daughter. I honestly don't know. I would never say that, yeah, he did it. Because now, after reading the appeals and the whole case, well, not the whole case, it's a very long case file, but I've read quite a bit of it. It makes me kind of believe that he may not have done what he was accused of. I know he had been originally sentenced to 30 years, and then it was reduced to, 10, and that meant he only had to serve 5. So he was out in 3 off of a 30-year original sentence. So he gave a lot of time back. Something went awry, and what put him back in, though, was talking to an underage girl. She was 16. He was above the proper age. It was wrong. Yes. Yeah, absolutely 100% wrong. He claimed he had never done anything with the girl, and he had never been charged with doing anything with the girl. He had been sent back to prison for failing to register, or whatever that brings along. Failing, I think it was a violation of parole or probation at that point in time, because he wasn't even on parole. It was probation, and he was on the internet just violating, but it was, I can't say it was that bad, but this guy, man, he was getting beat up all the time. And I'm reading this paperwork, and if somebody has done something to a child, I'm the first one that's going to tell you. I'm the first one to put him on blast. Besides J.D. DeLay, I mean, he gets to him faster than me, because he's made a career doing this. I haven't gotten there. I just want to change somebody's heart and mind from going down the path that takes you to prison, the path that takes you to meeting creeps like Ryan Bean. Even though I don't believe he did anything with his own daughter, he's still a bit creepy. And that could also be because he'd been beaten up so much. You could tell he was just miserable. He had tears in his eyes everywhere he went. I don't know. I remember him crying like, I didn't do this, and I can prove it. Him telling me this flat out. I was looking at C-Note. C-Note, kind of gave me the whatever. He was one of the guys. If you don't know what that means that you've never been to prison, and that just means you're doing good. One of the guys is Gangster Disciple, one of the brothers, one of the same thing I was affiliated with. Now, he knew that I wasn't on rotation, that I was not on count, that I was not an active affiliated member, but he respected me as if I was one. And he had my back like I was one. And you know what, C-Note, I know you're home by now. I hope you see this. Hit me up. Definitely hit me up. C-Note from Indianapolis. Bald, kind of looked like Bill Feasy. And, man, I'd love to hear from you. Tell the story. That's your story. I'll have to tell that one another time. C-Note had to put a whooping on Ryan one day. Ryan kept on talking crap to him, and C-Note was one of them that Ryan paid him for protection, and Ryan kept on. Well, what would happen? He'd smoke some of that Tucci, and he started talking stupid. Man, had I not gotten C-Note to be able to stop, I think Ryan would have put him in that oven. And it was mostly because of what he's convicted for. Not because, I mean, he got beat that bad and it came to that situation mostly because of his conviction. Because the situation really wasn't that serious. He'd have gotten beat up and just taken the loss, and Cino would have went on with his way. But at that point in time, thinking that that man had done things with his own daughter, that's what the majority thought. And you know, I knew enough to stay out of the way. I didn't have enough time to jack off and worry about his crap. But yeah, that's what it was. But hey, never forget life's choices, guys. You never know what road is going to take you to the hell of prison. But before I sign out, please hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that channel if you want to help out, guys. It's an AG219 signing out. Peace.